then I discovered Linger, and then, you know, and Daddy Don't Care, and then Linger, and you have to let it linger, all of those things. And just one of the most unique voices I'd ever heard before.
Absolutely,
and just,
yeah.
Whew. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day, and our co-sponsor CardHoarder.com, offering the best inventory prices and delivery of cards from Magic Online. I'm Evan Irwin, and we get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Aaron Campbell.
Hello.
Ruben Bressler.
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Hey, bro. What's going on?
I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go this week. I'm feeling limber.
He's feeling
I'm ready to talk about. We got a lot of things to cover. So
I brought a prop and everything. So
wow.
She brought a prop. It is one action-packed week. It is an action-packed week, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to go ahead and put our link in the Twitch chat. I can't do it in YouTube because of voodoo.
Because reasons. Because black magic happens. And
absolutely. But Ruben is here for me to help out. Because as we do now, with each set release, we're going to give away an entire booster box of Rivals of Ixalan. An entire booster box, ladies and gentlemen. Enter that contest. Good luck to everybody in it. And, of course, because of shipping restrictions, if you win and you're overseas, I'll give you a gift certificate equal to the same amount.
All right.
Whew, all right, so, man, we got to get started.
I got to retweet that, too. I'm going to go to my Twitter while you're doing the intro of this topic.
Fair enough. Well, we got to start at the very tip top. The first pick, no doubt, is the ban and restricted announcement. Whew, I'm going to bring it up here. For on January 15th, 2018, the standard environment has now 4 cards banned in it. Attune with Aether, Rogue, Refiner, Rampaging Ferocidon, Ramunap Ruins. It's going to be effective as of January 19th, which is a couple days from now, so that FNM is going to be effective. Magic Online is going to be immediately, and the next BNR announcement is going to be February 12th. So Ian Duke wrote the article, which I thought was a very well-written article that explained why they're doing what they're doing. Basically, it wins too much, it's too good, oops, we broke it. And there's a point in there where, like, it just gets so weird, and I'm scrolling through the article for those who are watching the video or watching this right now, where they talk about Ramunap Red, which, first of all, a lot of people are really excited they don't have to call it Ramunap Red anymore. But secondly, talking about Rampaging Ferocidon. Now, this is the weirdest, most out-of-the-way...
It's bizarre,
Can you even tell me what it does right now without looking at it?
I can, because it was in my top 10 Magic Mike's Ixalan cards, and also it's a red card, and I love it.
It is a red card, and I love it. And players can't gain life, and they deal damage when they have it.
Players can't gain life. It's a 3/3 for 3 dinosaur, rare from Ixalan.
Yes.
And whenever a creature enters the battlefield under any player's control, that player takes the damage. So, another creature. The first Ferocidon doesn't do it. You get the point.
Right. The point is, it's really strange. And here's where it gets really awkward. Here's where, and as I noted on Twitter, it's where you hit max cringe.
Oh, it also has Menace! Oh, no!
Yes, it does have Menace.
Hoisted by my own petard.
Oh, you are so hoisted. That petard is just there. But Rampaging Ferocidon was designed in a world to answer Felidar Guardian Saheeli, another card that was banned. This is just awkward, people. Let me give you a few stats before I throw it to my compatriots here. A pack of Kaladesh can now contain up to 3 banned cards. Attune with Aether, Smuggler's Copter, and Aetherworks Marvel. And if you get lucky enough, you get all 3 in one pack. You did the hat trick. The Kaladesh Nissa Planeswalker deck is no longer tournament legal. There have been 9 cards banned in Standard in just over 12 months. 9. For comparison, Urza Standard, the most broken format in the history of our game, only had 10. So, and I think Affinity had 10 as well.
I think that Mirrodin Standard also had 10. I think that there were the 9 that all got banned at the same time, and then just previously, Skullclamp was also banned about 3 months earlier.
So let me go ahead and throw some of this wonderful shade on Wizards, because you should never have had a modern Pro Tour. That was a mistake, and you fixed it, and you did it again, and I don't know why. You know how amazingly sweet this standard Pro Tour would be?
This Pro Tour would be awesome.
It would be unbelievable how cool this Pro Tour would be. But no. No,
because Aaron wants to watch people play dual lands instead.
I mean,
that's why. This is your fault, Aaron. I'm blaming Aaron.
I'll be sure to think of you when I'm sitting by the pool in Bilbao in 2 weeks. So
a fair point.
Wow. So here we are. Again, and you're in this world where would you rather they take chances, break things, and give us different experiences, or do we want to play right down the middle, Kamigawa, I don't know,
I mean, it
Born
doesn't
of the
have
Gods?
to be Kamigawa. Like Khan's standard was okay,
all
right?
Yeah, all right.
I mean, Siege Rhino was a thing, but
and fetch lands were loading screens, but sure.
Right. They played it pretty safe.
I'm fine with them taking risks if it's on things we haven't already seen before. But the problem that I'm having is that I feel like there are certain concepts that Wizards either still hasn't learned from or is convinced that they can do differently. We've said many times before, cost reduction mechanics, giving people free things, usually ends up very badly. We've seen it with Phyrexian mana, we've seen it with Delve, rituals, 1-mana dorks. There's a reason why we don't see these things anymore. And so I'm all for them trying something new and having, no history to go off of, having it being completely unexplored territory. But I feel like we've been here before. Like, we've established that you can't give us this type of thing anymore. Energy not being mana, but still having such easy ways to get it, having no ways to interact with it. You should have, I think they should have known, or that there should have been some indication that this was going to go south. And I feel like we're just consistently here. One of the things I was really passionate about was the green creature spells, like when Collected Company was running around. You just banned Birthing Pod in Modern for similar concepts. Green Sun Zenith has been a disaster. There's a reason we can't have Hypergenesis. Let's abandon that concept. Let's say, okay, you know what? Giving green these crazy ways to get creatures ends poorly. Let's put that concept to bed. But no, you still see them trying with, how about Eldritch Evolution? And it's like,
right.
Can we just say that just certain things are not going to work, or that they end badly? And the fact that Wizards keeps trying really upsets me, where it's like, try something new, but give up on some of these concepts that have history of just not working.
And I really like your point about free value, not necessarily cost reduction, because that's not the case this time, but certainly cost reduction when it comes to things like Affinity, Phyrexian Mana, Delve, Dredge. Obviously, these are ways around the mana system, which is the thing that defines Magic, so obviously those are more likely things to be broken. What I liked especially about what you said is garnering value in areas that first of all, can't be interacted with. Obviously, Infect was very, very, very good, and Energy can't be interacted with and is also very good. That might be a coincidence because there aren't as many examples of that, but it's also free, basically. Rogue Refiner is a 3/2 for 3 that when it enters the battlefield, you draw a card. That could just be a card. Attune with Aether literally is a card. It's just Lay of the Land, but you're getting, some amount of value in this other value system off of it. The fact that I can electrolyze, one of the best value spells of all time, I can electrolyze a Rogue Refiner and come out behind, is insane. Mm-hmm. That's crazy talk. When you put it through that kind of lens. So I definitely agree with the with that sentiment in your argument. However, I will also say that for Standard, post-ban standards have been some of the best standards of all time. One of my favorite standards of all time was post-Stoneforge, post-Jace banned standard. That was so much fun. There were so many decks that were viable. Even right after Marvel got banned was pretty exciting for a little while there. So there are definitely some interesting things, and we saw it with the first wave of 5/0 decks to come out of leagues today. With shout out to Path of Metal being playable in Standard. I like that one a lot.
Well done, buddy.
Yeah, I did it. And then Merfolk and lots of God's Pharaoh's Gifts decks seeing play now. We're working on a different axis. Obviously, everyone's running Chupacabra, but that'll get banned in 6 months anyway. So who cares?
Look, I swear to God, I am at this point. I am waiting for the "We're sorry about Chupacabra" article. That's coming. Just go ahead and mark my words.
What do you think the odds are of Chupacabra getting banned?
I don't know, but I was keeping up with, there's a young man, Brennan DeCandio, who streams quite frequently, and I was following him on the Card Hoarder Twitter account, and he was trying to do shenanigans with Galta, and he had made a tweet today, and he's like, you know, I keep trying to do crazy things, but this jerk keeps getting in the way, and, you know, we talked about it a little bit on our Top 10 show yesterday of the flavor fail of it, where it's like you have this big Galta, elder dinosaur, and then this mangy little dog just chasing it through the jungle. And
the friggin' dog, man.
Yeah, Brennan Michael DeCandio playing turn 4 12/12s, and it just doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate.
So let's give some important perspective. I think one of the things to realize here is that Wizards works in the future, right? Wizards is working years ahead of us. So there's things that they can do, sort of shifts and stuff. And if you go back, and someone pointed this out on Reddit, where there was an article about 3.5 years, a little over 3 years ago, by Sam Stoddard, talking about developing. The title of the article is "Developing Annihilation," and at that point, they're talking about the removal arms race, where there is Thoughtseize, where there was Path to Exile, where there's Lightning Bolt, and that because the answers were so powerful, they had to offset that with super powerful creatures, and that's why you saw Phyrexian Obliterator. That's why you saw the Titans. You know, they had to sort of keep going, and they said, well, look, we can't keep up with this arms race, this idea that the removal is just super good. And then they said, we want to make removal spells with restrictions, like Ultimate Price, Lightning Strike, Azorius Charm, and stuff like Hero's Downfall still exists, sort of murder-esque, sure, okay, whatever. And then they started talking about how Supreme Verdict was too good, because Supreme Verdict, when you're playing Supreme Verdict, blue-white is the only control deck you can have. Right. And all the aggros are racing, not only to turn 4 when you're going to kill all their creatures, but turn 5 when you're going to have something to follow up with. Okay. So that means they're going to, essentially they're like, well, we're going to, if we hold back on the answers a little bit, we pull back on those answers, then we won't have to make creatures that are so ridiculous. Well, it feels like what happened was they pulled way back on the answers, and they didn't pull anything on the creatures. The creatures kept being this insane resource-generating monster, to the point where the monsters generating the resources were too good, you couldn't interact with the resources they were generating. And here we are with these insane creatures, and we're just begging for some way to stop them. Can we stop energy? Can we stop these monsters? Why is the Scarab God a 5/5, for God's sake? Like, it didn't need to be.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think they scaled back on answers not only to creatures, but just in general. You know, one of the things I touched on during the last episode, I couldn't quite get my words together, but, you know, we've seen a pulling back on answers in terms of counter spells. We have not had, there hasn't been a, you can argue that there hasn't been a good control deck in years. You know, look at the counter spells that are coming out now. Look at the draw spells that we have that are just terrible. You know, one of the issues people had with Delirium was that we really had no way to interact with the graveyard. People were begging for, you know, just give us like a relic or something. Give us anything. People were even begging for Pithing Needles at one point. Like, look, we're not asking for Revokers, we're not asking for Rest in Peace, but there has been a scaling back on numerous fronts that has really kind of led us to get here. And I think, you know, if I put my tinfoil hat on, I think it has to do with fun. I think that they've been wanting, you know, they've been kind of pulling back on these things that kill spells feel bad and counter spells feel bad and land destruction feels bad. But if there have to be these safety valves in place, and I think they just pulled everything back a little too far.
Yeah, and I think we've hit an area where it's like, okay, we get it. Like, you don't. This is a world where there's not a lot of answers. This is what happens. Where if the combination of these creatures, these good old fashioned creatures, are too good, are ruining the format. Lay of the Land, for God's sake, is somehow pushing the boundaries. Like, yeah, when you put Lay of the Land on top of dealing 2 damage, or making a 1/1, or making most of a 1/1, or whatever it is, like you combine all these things together, but yet I can't stop my opponent. You know, I'm not even asking for Path to Exile or Lightning Bolt. You know, just give me something.
Yeah.
So I really was fascinated, again, as the Mono Red expert and aficionado on the cast, I was fascinated that they did bannings and then sort of also prevented future bannings by pre-banning, which I like. I think that I understand the theory behind it, which is when you but when you weaken energy to the point of not being as dominant as it is, Mono Red becomes the new energy. It becomes the thing that 30% of the players are playing, and so they had to pull a few of the legs out from under it as well. It's not like energy will be unplayable. It's not like mono red will be unplayable. It just like the bans here to me remind me the most of the modern Jund bans when they got rid of Deathrite Shaman and Bloodbraid Elf. Getting rid of those two cards did not make Jund unplayable. As a matter of fact, Jund was still one of, if not the best decks in Modern for a very long time thereafter. But it did make it much less dominant. It wasn't 30% of the Pro Tour like it was at the Eggs Pro Tour. Or you didn't have the thing where Eggs could win that Pro Tour because it had such a dominant matchup against Jund. You know, this felt a lot like that to me, where Attune and Ramunap Ruins are the Deathrite Shaman equivalents, and the ones that sort of got caught up in the swell are Rogue Refiner and Rampaging Ferocidon. They also had to go because removing one piece wasn't enough. I'm sure nobody saw the Rampaging Ferocidon removal coming. That was just a completely ridiculous thing to predict. If anyone predicted that, they would have just been a savant and worthy of hiring for your finance teams to buy lottery tickets in the future. I thought that Etherhub was probably going to get the axe as well, and it was a coin flip for me between Rogue Refiner and Whirler Virtuoso, but the Rogue Refiner does make sense. Nope, you're good.
What did you guys think about the standard bans really opened up this discussion about data, and specifically how people feel like they have been sort of misled, or like data has been withheld from us, and because of that, that played a part in these decks being dominant, that we haven't been getting the full picture. It's been affecting how people build and how people brew. God bless Aaron Forsyth. He was literally on Twitter all day long fielding questions about this, and the discussions were civil, so I appreciate that for the most part. But do you think that played a part here, that the fact that we haven't been getting all the information has led to standard appearing differently than it actually is, and has it been stifling creativity?
Well, and that brings us to the kind of the talking point of, this is the too much information thing, right? This is where if we know too much about it, we're not going to like it. Well, and the fact that, well, look, first of all, it certainly appears that Aaron Forsyth and even Cedric Phillips is on the same page, that they think that too much information, too much data is going to cause a bad format. Secondly, saying that too much information kind of ruined the formats where it existed back in the day when the SCG Opens had too much information, articles that would literally show you every deck, every result, all the different metagame, all those sort of different percentages and whatnot for you. I'm not personally convinced that that was necessarily bad. I feel like there is a world, and you can even see it in Hex. Hex does this right now, where they give you everything. You have everything at your disposal, and it's not even like we're asking Wizards to give us that information. We're asking to let us essentially scrape that information. If we can cull that information and use it, maybe we'll know that turns out Red Green Pummeler was amazing and we didn't even know. Like, if we'd have known, maybe things would have been differently, because we don't know, and people like anecdotes and they don't really focus on the data, that they somehow create these, these judgments in their mind of what is good, what is bad, what is overpowered. I mean, I lived through a world where people were writing on the SCG Open Series tablecloths like F Delver. Like, that was a thing. It became a problem. And it wasn't that Delver was too strong. It was that the perception. The
perception was too strong.
They just kept seeing it win. They kept seeing it out there. Well, maybe if we knew what decks were out there and how well they were doing, we would think differently.
Or what decks would be their -1 or 2 cards. See the decks that people are trying and that aren't working, and maybe you're the type that has also been playing that deck and you have the answer, or maybe you're motivated to find that answer.
So
I'm definitely sympathetic to the argument as well, that the pros, the people who grind, the people who put in the hours, are going to figure it out. I'm sympathetic to the argument that they're going to figure it out, and that the only thing that restricting data really does is put everyone else so far behind the curve. I feel like that argument isn't 100% true, but I'm at least a little sympathetic to it, that, had we had this data, and people had said, maybe we just play Red Green Pummeler, some of the folks would have done that, and we could have had a more balanced metagame. But again,
This is all conjecture. We're not sure, but
exactly.
But I want to quote Patrick Sullivan just to go back to the bannings real quick, because Patrick Sullivan, the man just makes amazing points, and regarding Rampaging Ferocidon, he tweets, the one creature in the deck that isn't super cheap or has haste or is unkillable or some combination of all that is banned because of lack of quote counterplay. That's a nice. That's a hot take. That's a real nice.
Well done.
Hot take. Man. Thank you, Patrick. All right, so we have lots to get to. Let's go ahead and move on here to Gathering the Townsfolk.
Ooh.
Where we get to, I don't like the term navel gaze, but we get to talk a little bit about ourselves for a little bit. Because
is that a thing? Navel gaze?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, navel gazing is
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, it's you're just only paying attention to yourself. You're navel gazing.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about navels, are we innies or outies?
Innies?
I'm an innie.
Do you want to?
Do you? No. Ruben,
you get kicked off.
You stay seated.
Do that. Yeah.
Keep your arms inside the vehicle.
Ruben Inniesler.
Okay. Terrific. Glad we got that all covered. So we are going to make some changes to our Patreon. Our Patreon basically hasn't changed in 2.5 years, through almost 3.
No, yes.
And we certainly recognize that, and it's time to kind of per Aaron, step up that cookie.
Yeah.
We're gonna make some more content. First of all, this is going to announce more content that we're going to make for you guys. We have goals that we would like to hit this year. We think you guys are amazing. Thank you very much, and we're gonna keep on keeping on. First up, let's go over sort of the overview. Okay, so the new Patreon setup is going to include a new intro video for the Patreon page itself, a new Patreon exclusive episode because again, hasn't been one since we first started, so we're gonna make a new one. There's going to be paper tokens. We're going to be ordering soon. Foil tokens, metal tokens, play mats, trumpet blasts, which I'll get to here in a minute, and streaming. We're doing this. So let's go ahead and let's go through it level by level, okay?
Okay.
So the $1 level, you're going to get your new Patreon exclusive episode. Just give us $1, get an episode. Totally sweet. We love you bunches. Okay.
And we have one of those, but we're going to make another one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that going forward, we'll probably make one Patreon exclusive, just sort of chat episode a year, maybe every 18 months or something like that, talking for 15 minutes.
Well, we can figure something out. But for now, we're going to move on to the $5 level, which is the most popular level, because this is what I feel sort of, what most people want is, if you want to hear us not safe for work, if you want to hear us talking about some really sometimes raunchy things, sometimes you get straight raunch, y'all, when you're kidding about not safe for work sometimes. Whatever. But this is also going to give you one of each Magic Mike's paper token. So that's pretty cool.
And it also gives you early access to our top 10 show before anybody else.
That's right. You get both the pre and post not safe for work access for both Magic Mike's and top 10s. You get to see us awkwardly say, wait a minute, I got to go pee.
You get to understand you'll get to understand why my coworkers are going to laugh when I say hospital corners right now.
Oh man, you just don't even understand what we just did with hashtag hospital corners, y'all.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It's pretty terrific.
But so you get both shows early and you get extra access, and it's just a great level.
Good time. So for your $10 level, again, you get the not safe for work access, but you're going to get 4x of each Magic Mike's paper token instead of 1, and 1 of each Magic Mike's token in foil. So that's pretty cool. We'll do a couple mailings of those a year for those who are curious. Move on to the $20 level, where you're going to get 4 paper tokens, 4 foil paper tokens, 1 metal token, which is awesome.
Of each of us, yes.
Of each of us, that's all. So that's 3 metal tokens, 12 paper, 12 foils. Yay. Move on here to our $50 level, which is going to have 4x, 4x, and 1x. So 4x paper of each, 4x foil of each, 1x metal of each, and the custom Magic Mike's playmat. We'll make a sort of basically a limited number of these because we don't need to make a whole bunch of them. But for those who are willing to go that far, well, we're willing to provide you with something really unique and exciting.
Yeah, and if you want to buy the playmat and not do it through Patreon, I think that the plan is that we'll have a couple extras. Is that right?
Not very many.
Right. We're going to have some way to make them available, but let's kind of get moving. Once we get moving, then we can look at different ways.
And we do want to emphasize that they will be limited edition. We don't want it to be. We want to really emphasize the exclusivity of the item. Of you can only get it in these limited ways.
Right.
Yeah, and to answer a question I'm seeing in chat a little bit, if you are at this level over even for a month, over the course of like a 6-month period, you're getting that level's stuff.
Right. All this is 1 month is necessary, and that's all.
Right. Except for the not safe for work content, you have to continue to be at the correct Patreon level during the month where that stuff comes out.
Right. So so that's a thing. And lastly, for our $100 level, this gives you again the pre and post not safe for work access. You'll now get 1x trumpet blast message per month. This is where, if you want to support us in a big way, we can support you right back. We'll have some trumpet blasts messages that show up at the top of the show. Let's just say you wanted to talk about something in your personal life, or if you wanted to give a shout out or do a birthday thing or whatever. If you had a commercial message, like, you can do that too. Max 25 words. We reserve the right to not say stupid stuff, so try not to make it dumb, and we're good.
Yeah, this is like
we have to put that in there.
Right, exactly. We have our official sponsors, and we love our official sponsors, and they get their graphics, and they get a bunch of great things. But maybe you don't want to be, maybe you're not running CoolStuffInc.com, right? But maybe you want to wish one of your buddies happy birthday that watches the show, or you want to I don't know, propose to your girlfriend. That'd be awesome.
Or maybe you're starting your own podcast.
I don't wanna,
maybe you're
there
starting your own blog, and you want to simply get your word out there. We respect the hustle, and we're very fortunate to have a decent sized platform. And so if you want to put it out there that you're doing a thing, let our listeners know you got a thing, and maybe they might join you at the thing.
Yeah, there you go. This is modeled after the Jumbotron feature on the Adventure Zone podcast, where they have a little bit more stipulations because they have a much larger audience than we do. But we're trying our best, and we think that this would be we think that folks are really going to appreciate this. So
all right, so to kick off, so to kind of put the cherry on the end of this one, and kind of show you guys what we're thinking about for streaming. We want to stream, but we wanted to do something a little bit different, and we want to do something a little bit unique. At least I've not heard of anyone doing this, but and I think it's cool. First of all, we're going to stream 3 times a month. Each of us, me, and then Aaron, and well, technically me, and then Ruben, and then Aaron, but whatever. All 3 of us on different Sundays are going to be streaming for a minimum amount of time. Now, this minimum, obviously we could go past it. There's no problem with that. But this minimum is going to be 1 minute for every patron that we have. Now, we currently have about 120 patrons, which means we are a minimum streaming 2 hours. And we have a schedule that I have on the screen now. So on February 4th, we will be kicking it off with myself with our first stream. And this is the idea that, we're trying to reach our Twitch partnership, because that's the thing you got to do.
Right.
And that's the thing we want to do, and part of doing that is we need to stream more. Secondly, this allows us to make more content for you guys, so you can have fun. We can play with our favorite formats and stuff like that. And lastly, we kind of each get our own little flavor of stream. We get to kind of show you guys what we're thinking about. So we've already booked out 3 months, but here's the 2 months. And because of the way February works or whatever, we're going to be on February 4th is me, February 11th is Ruben, February 25th is Aaron, and then again, as it turns out, March 4th is me, March 11th is Ruben, March 25th is Aaron.
Yeah, because February works that way.
Right, and we're going to have different tiers essentially that are based on number of patrons rather than number of dollars. And because the idea, essentially that we're able to we're cultivating. This is a community. People like it. We've been doing this a long time, and we're going to do something different, and I'm excited to stream, and I think it's really cool to kind of reach that level where we're able to be a Twitch partner, and we can do the subscriber thing. And so, so we're going to make that happen, and I'm really excited about it. And how do you guys feel about it?
Yeah, this is only going to be on Twitch, as far as I'm aware. We're not going to live stream this one to YouTube.
Nope.
So these will be sort of Twitch hangouts. Also, this is replacing the less than popular Google Hangout level that we had. And so we feel like this is a good replacement for that. You get us for 3 Sundays instead of just 1. And you still get to interact with us live. We'll be paying much more attention to chat than we do on this show. Obviously every once in a while we glance at chat. But
you guys.
We will. I will glance more at chat personally.
I will also. It's fine.
I'm kidding.
But yeah, I mean, we'll all get to have our individual flavors. You'll get to hang out with us. I'm probably going to bring on friends of mine, some guests to talk about stuff. You get to, I assume Aaron is all dredge all the time. Evan might stray away from his Pauper collection occasionally. I don't really have a thing like that. I'll probably be playing a lot of red decks and tribal decks, though, in various formats. So we'll see if that's a thing that we can do. But I'm really looking forward to this, and I think that doing it all under one banner is a cool idea. So
yeah,
and we'll also be doing special giveaways during our individual streams to make sure that we reward you guys for stopping by.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited too. It's like, you know, I streamed for a little while. Streaming is very difficult. I certainly have a new respect for streamers in the few months that I had been streaming. I'm most excited because I certainly do more of the traveling between the three of us. You know, between my job and my personal life, I hit up a lot of GPs and a lot of opens, and I get to meet so many of our fans who are super awesome. And the one thing the fans always say to me, when's Ruben coming? When's Evan coming? You go on the subreddit, you're cute and all, but where's Ruben? Where's Evan? Like, so to see you guys really getting out there and giving the people more of what they want, I think is a good thing, because I love our fans and they're very sweet to me. But the one thing they always ask me is, so is Ruben with you? Is Evan coming? And so give them what they want.
Fair enough. And so
to give you a brief update on that, I'm going to try to make it to GP Seattle, and I think I'm going to GP Phoenix as well. And obviously, I'm in Vegas, so I'll be here for both GP Vegas. And by the way, did you guys know that the World Championships in September are in Las Vegas?
Did you know that GP Phoenix does not actually have the rekindling?
Have the Phoenix? I know, it's so upsetting.
That ball.
Seattle has it, and I think that Phoenix has a Merfolk for the rainy Seattle people. They should just swap playmats.
Here's the real dagger. First of all, flavor failed. Second of all, Magali is actually going to be at GP Seattle. They could have put her negate on the GP Seattle playmat.
Yeah.
I am on schedule so I will be at Indianapolis this weekend. So if you're going to be at Indy, come say hello to me. I'll have Magic Mike swag and card holder swag. I will be in Bilbao for the Pro Tour. Come say hello, Spanish friends. I see you. I will be in Tennessee in late February. I think it's either Memphis or Nashville.
Nice.
I am.
Ain't no place I'd rather be.
I will be in Phoenix. I will be at Seattle and Vegas. We're getting out, so be sure to come say hi to us.
You're all over the place. You'll also be at Pro Tour Dominaria, yes.
Bilbao is
that's
in
Minnesota.
2 weeks.
Right, but then the one after that is the one that's in Minnesota.
No, it's Bilbao, Richmond, and then Minnesota.
Oh, Richmond, then Minnesota.
Richmond,
yeah,
gotcha.
that's why I was confused. And I might end up going home to Columbus for Grand Prix Columbus. That's probably unlikely, but
Casa de Bresler.
Yeah.
Yay.
Hotel Bresler. Yeah. We'll see if they have room for me.
They leave the light on for you, buddy?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you know, Richmond, play the game, see Virginia. All right. So sometimes there's a little shade.
Play the game, see Virginia is something that I need. If we got one of our Photoshop people out there, that's delightful.
Okay. All right. So we're going to move on here past the navel gazing, if you will, Ruben's new favorite phrase.
I love it.
To something that, you know, we always enjoy talking about when things get weird and awkward, and we're going to make Magic Spaces safer. Wizards released on the WPN website that on Friday to a article called Making Magic Spaces Safer, where the safety of Magic events is of paramount importance to us. And recently, a few judges and players had their sex offender status posted to social media in accordance with our policy. The majority had already had their access of organized play suspended indefinitely and were not active. Apparently, one had been reported but had slipped essentially through the cracks, and they didn't get the notice, and so that person was left on the rolls for a while, and once they learned of it, they fixed that correction. Well, part of the WPN changes that they're instituting for all WPN locations is that they require background checks, which, again, no one was against. Let's just be clear. All right. However, the idea that this is going to happen requires things to be in place for it to happen. For example, what are you talking about when you say you want everybody to have your background checks? What do you mean? If you run a restaurant, the restaurant employees don't need it, but the game store employees need it.
Right.
What do you mean if I have to get a judge at the 11th hour and I can't get that check ran in the next, 2 hours or whatever before the event starts? I have to cancel the whole event. I can't somehow say, I believe this person and there's some sort of grace period. How can you go, and this is something that was posted to Reddit, and I'll pull it up here, because again, we live in the digital world where anything you say is instantly going to make its way to Reddit or some other forum, and of course it's not pulling up right now, which I don't know why. Why is my Reddit not working? I don't know. That's unfortunate. But either way, I'll go ahead and pull it up here. Otherwise, so basically, Wizards commented. A Wizards staff member made a FAQ regarding questions about the new terms and conditions. And here's the one I gotta point out, because this doesn't make any sense. This literally doesn't make any sense. This says, someone says, what qualifies as a sufficient background check? And the answer being, compliance with the WPN terms is left to the discretion of the WPN member. What? If you have questions regarding compliance, you should discuss the matter with your legal counsel. So if I have no idea what you want, I go to my lawyer to ask them what you want?
Right.
You know how quick that conversation is going to end? Like, just dead stop? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do I mean? What does it mean? What do you mean? Well, it's in compliance with the laws. Well, what laws? Laws in what country? Who gets to report it? Why are you putting the burden on the store owners? Pokemon as a company keeps this stuff centralized because they can, because if you judge at 5 different locations and they have to buy 5 different background checks for you.
Right.
So
that's the best comparison, is that the Pokemon organized play specifically does background checks. I have an LGS that I visit a lot here where one of the employees is a Pokemon judge, and she says that it's a much different process for Pokemon than what is being proposed from Wizards of the Coast. And that system works, and I'm all in favor of Wizards of the Coast having background checks for judge staff. I think that makes a great idea. I think that, first of all, foisting the cost upon local game stores is going to cost them player base and cost them money. I've spoken to no fewer than 4 local game store owner, operator, full-time kind of people, and to a man, to an owner, they are not in favor of the implementation that this has incurred. They believe that it will cost them a significant amount of money and a significant amount of headache, specifically from the one issue that you raised of having to replace people at the last minute. Life happens. You get in car wrecks. You get sick. For some reason, you can't show up. To not be able to replace a judge with another judge, even if they're in the same building, that's difficult. That is a bad precedent to set, and it will cost LGSs a lot of money, and it will make people very upset. We were going to run a PPTQ this weekend. 30 people showed up, and they're in the store, and we have a judge in the store, and we cannot run this event because that judge has not had their background check run here. That's a problem. There's a lot of noise having to do with this issue, obviously, from a whole bunch of different directions, not the least of which is that Wizards of the Coast does not consider judges to be employees. Back to that fun well, which is, first of all, going to impact that court case that is supposedly going to be handled next month. We're supposed to get a verdict on that in the middle of February, and on the one hand, this is like kind of in favor of the judges, like a thing that they can bring up and say, well, if they want to run background checks, they're sure treating us like employees. But it's only going to further sever and wedge things between the judges and Wizards of the Coast anyway. I've spoken to several judges on this subject as well. The fact that, this is just this might not be the straw that breaks the camel's back, but it's certainly another straw on the camel's back of an already tenuous situation of, the judge apps issue and, the judge rewards, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is just another thing weighing on their minds. So this is a really difficult situation, and obviously, this is a less than ideal way to handle it. And Wizards of the Coast, I feel like, dropped the ball a lot in their communication on this issue. They played it way too safe, and by playing it so safe, no one actually knows anything.
Yeah, this announcement really highlighted the issue for me that the community management just hasn't been there lately. And we kind of saw this a little bit with the banning and restricted announcement. In the past, you used to see Wizard staff making sure that the car was still on the rails. You would see Trick posting to Reddit. You would see Allison posting to Reddit if you saw conversations getting too derailed, to sort of keep people on subject and to make sure that people were were dealing inaccurate information and that they knew was going on. The fact that Aaron Forsythe was having to single-handedly handle this discussion about data and things of that nature, on the one hand, I commend him for doing so, but on the other hand, why weren't your community managers doing that? Like, why wasn't anybody steering the conversation and keeping people corralled if they strayed too far from the subject? The fact that this announcement was dropped on a Friday afternoon towards the end of the day when people were either already gone or were about to walk out the door, and again, there were no people either inspiring the conversation or guiding the conversation, so people started spinning their own cyclones and their own theories and turning on each other and feeling all the things, and again, no one's there to guide them. And so the rollout of this and the rollout of the bannings just serves to highlight that even Card Hoarder, you know, we are a smaller business, and we made the decision a couple months ago to roll back our buying prices when we found out about the PlayPoint bundles. And even we were on Reddit, we were on Twitter, we were responding to feedback that customers had because we recognized that that was a thing we needed to be doing. We needed to be inserting ourselves in the conversation, and we needed to be making sure the conversation was being kept in check, basically. And so when even us as a small business understands the need to do that, and Wizards, this $1 million company, doesn't have that, that really sticks out to me. And I've really felt that absence of some community guidance in light of recent announcements, because they're really just dropping it. It's kind of like, this is a really bad metaphor here, it's kind of like when you're a kid and you want to spend the night at your friend's house, but you don't want to hear their mom or dad say no, so you make them go ask if you can spend the night, and then you just kind of wait for them to come back and say you can spend the night. That's kind of how this feels. And so you're just waiting for them to come and tell you everything's okay, and no one's coming. And it's just like, you can't handle a community this way.
Yeah, it's at the end of the day, you know, I think everyone wanted a solution. No one was pro, you know, not background checking people.
Yeah, that's not even. Yeah.
Don't get me started. And if anyone paid attention to anything I've made in the past 12 years or anything we've done in the past 2.5, to think that we were laughing at people and stuff is just ridiculous. And if you're being gaslighted like that, you really need to not be gaslighted like that.
Whatever, it's fine.
So all right. The point is that this is way too vague. I think this is partly a reaction to get Wizards, again, away from the judge program. Let's put it on the WPN locations, because if we have to centralize this can look like contractors. This can look like wages that were owed and breaks that need to be given and so on and so forth. They're going to lose the lawsuit. And all this stuff kind of compounds into, like, we're better now. This is better. This is the better norm. Like, this was positive. I'm not sure. I mean, yes, but okay, like, whatever.
We still don't know a lot.
We just needed better clarification. You cannot say that your clarification is to ask your lawyer, okay? It just doesn't make. I mean, come on, that's ridiculous.
A lot of the nuts and bolts of what Wizards said to this issue were antithetical to what actually is going to be done. Like, I don't understand what is actually being done, and that's a problem. When someone whose job it is every week our job is to come out and tell you guys, to like give you guys the 75-minute summary of what happened in Magic this week. And for this issue, I don't know what happened from a Wizard's perspective, and that's a problem.
Yeah, so all the information that we've received, so for those who don't know, we form a Google Doc that we reference when we do this show, and we like to post links, and anytime we suggest a topic to Evan, the first thing Evan says is give me a link. And so when we were coming into this episode, we didn't have very many links. I had a lot of screenshots. I had Slack messages and Discord messages and things of that nature, but I didn't really have that many sources that I could quote to Evan to be able to talk about this on this show tonight, and that's a problem. Like, we want to be able to tell you what we know, and we don't know anything. And how does that happen? How are you a $1 million company and this is all you give us on a holiday weekend? Martin Luther King Day was Monday. Yeah. This came what?
Here's the bottom line for the viewers is this. This is going to cost you money for every event you enter, because Wizards of the Coast isn't going to swallow this cost. Your LGS isn't going to swallow this cost. This is going to cost more money because of this disorganized situation. And people are already complaining about GPs going up in price, right? Like, this is another, because it's badly organized, because it was sort of foisted upon us, and because there's no real direction from Wizards of the Coast. the LGSs are going to have to foot the bill for the background checks.
Right.
And tournament organizers are going to have to foot the bill for the background checks.
And
that ultimately is going to, because there's no simpler way to do it, and there was no system put in place by Wizards, it's going to cost money, and that really stinks.
And it also gives this LGS that you happen to be judging for, let's say you're just in town to judge the PPTQ or whatever, suddenly this judge knows a lot about your background, a lot about your personal details. And Aaron, obviously I've seen some of these concerns about having to sort of reveal your dead name, as it were. You have to tell them, this is my identity. You're basically outing yourself if you don't want to out yourself. It's putting, they have, all of a sudden they have that information. They can use it or not use it against you, for example. Like, it's weird. And again, had it been centralized, that's not a concern. It's not.
It's also,
go ahead.
The trans thing is certainly a concern. There is the idea that you are outing yourself as trans if you weren't already, and if you happen to be working for a store where the staff is not okay with that sort of things, you might be discriminated against because you are LGBT.
There is a very large trans population in the Magic judge community.
I mean, we kind of run things. I don't know if you knew that or not, but hashtag trans mafia. But, and there might be some, you might have some options if you are discriminated against, that is very well a thing. I'm sure, I would like to think that stores just can't discriminate you for that reason. But, and also there's the issue of, Patrick Sullivan, God bless Patrick, had made a tweet of something to the effect of, like, I wouldn't want 19-year-old me running background checks. You're having somebody, I worked for JP Morgan for 7 years, and having to handle confidential information like that, I had to have a certain amount of training and licensing to be able to do that. And so no shade to local game stores, because God bless them, and we probably wouldn't be here without them. But you're asking people in a job with high turnover and not necessarily the training to trust them with my social security number, my whatever. And let's say one of them didn't like the show and didn't like one of us, and we go to the store and I'm going to stick it to Ruben Bressler, and bam, here's all of your personal business. And so there's a lot of questions that we have with this, and we I feel that we need more information, and once we have more, we can more adequately judge. But again, just the execution, there's too many questions that should have been hammered out before this even went live, or at least should have been answered along the way.
And as we go forward, I mean, next month we're going to talk about this judgment that's going to come down between Wizards of the Coast and the judges. I will be very interested to see if this sort of dust-up is brought up during that during that court case, because I think that there is a non-zero chance that this immediately gets implanted into the judges' arguments that they are employees. And I mean, I've heard from a number of judge sources that is, I mean, there is no result. From what I understand, there's no result in that Wizards of the Coast versus whichever judges are suing them. So there's no result that ends good. There is none. There is not a positive outcome possible, whether they win, whether they lose, whether they settle. There is not a way that will be better than the relationship that they had 3 years ago, which is unfortunate. And this only serves to further drive another wedge in that relationship, which is really unfortunate.
Okay, so let's move on here to something quite a bit lighter. So for whatever reason, Wizards decided to announce that the Core Set 2019 release date was changing. Instead of July 13th, instead of July 20th, it is now coming out on July 13th, 2018. And I have the dates on the screen here for you. It's just really interesting. It's funny because they're like, look, it's the 25th anniversary and the return of the Core Set. You could excuse us for getting a little excited, so excited that we're moving the release date up a week. And I'm like...
Bless their hearts.
Really? Really? I guess? I don't know. This whole thing was weird. I mean, I'm reporting it essentially because we're here to talk about things that happened.
Is that the new my dog ate my homework? Like, hey guys, how come your tokens are taking so long? Because we were just so excited.
So jazzed.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, this is a weird... Like, I feel like a computer wrote this, right? Like, it was like, hi, hello, fellow kids. We were just so gosh darn excited that we couldn't wait an extra 7 days exactly on these 5 exact weekends. And it's like, whoa, hold on. We weren't accusing you. Why are you so defensive? It is a little strange.
I mean, I'll get my toys early. I'm not unhappy about that. It's just
but like, why did they need to make this announcement in this way? I don't need you to give me your backstory. Like, just move the weekends. Just be like, hey guys, we're just moving the schedule around a bit. Okay, cool. Like, I wasn't planning my summer vacation based around open house.
It's true.
Right? It's just like I don't get why this was a thing.
It's a little silly.
But cool.
It's a blip in the radar. It'll change some things that'll happen many months from now. Whatever.
Really?
I guess. So, the Great Designer Search, and Ruben, I think you can take this one a little bit. Tell us what happened with the Great Designer Search as of right now.
Well, the Great Designer Search is the third Great Designer Search is now underway, and I know this because I was sent an email by Mr. Mark Rosewater. I don't want to read the email because the terms of service on the entering the Great Designer Search are kind of weird. But I would really like to read the email in Mark Rosewater's voice, but unfortunately I can't do that. I will, however, introduce the topic to you in the voice of Mark Rosewater. Today marks the start of trials for the Great Designer Search 3, aka GDS 3. The trials are a series of 3 tests that will help us narrow down the field of applicants to 8 finalists. Today's article is going to walk you through what the trials are going to be and give you a rough timeline.
So the trial one. Now, first of all, let's note here that the first
that impression does a number on my vocal cords.
The first Great Designer Search had 1,000 people or so in it. The second Great Designer Search had around 1,100 or so people. This one has over 7,000 people.
Work.
Yeah.
The essay trial involves 10 essay questions. Each applicant will be required to answer each in 250 to 350 words. So 3,000 words. 3,000 words. Let me do a little quick math here. 3,000 words times 7,000 candidates. 21 million words are going to be written. I don't know who's going to read those 21 million words.
That's a lot.
You know what I mean? Like, I hope your first 2 answers are real good, because if you bungle the first, like, I'm out. Yep, terrible.
Or you need to pull an Elle Woods and make it scented.
Exactly. Oh, is that lilac? You know, like, yeah, it's gonna be crazy, because that's a lot of that's a lot. I'm just like,
love it.
How do they handle all this?
I love that my feed lit up the last couple of days with people saying that they'd been a part of it, and the hashtag, and I love it, and I wish every one of you could get in, and I just wish it was more like I always fantasize it being like a reality show, and there being like,
it's gonna be,
you know,
once you get to the top 8, it's basically a reality show. We're basically the voice at that point.
Yes.
I mean,
I'm just imagining like the chair spinning around, and one is Forsyth, one
and the other one is Nathan Holt as the wizard.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
That would be insane.
Yeah, I'll probably cover my trial 1 essays in my stream for Magic Mics next month, because we can't talk about any of that stuff ahead of time.
Right.
But by that point, trial 1 will be over. So I'll talk about my thought process in my writings of those during my stream special.
I'm just again, I'm trying to note that they're bringing 7,000 applicants down to 8. To 8.
It's crazy. This is worse than trying to top 8 GP Vegas. This is a very difficult thing to do.
This is going to be super tough. But good luck to all those who are in the running. Ruben, you as well, of course.
Wait, hold on. Good luck to all those that are in the running, and to you as well. Nice dagger. Well, nice. Thanks, because I'm not in the running. I see how it is, Evan. I didn't mean to do that. Blocked. Reported. All right.
I'm laughing at your pain. Okay. New convention promo showed up. This was kind of neat. I thought this was kind of cool, and I don't think I properly prepared it, because I don't do things properly all the time. But I thought I was ready to go. I never am. So Wizards has a new promo for Deeproot Champion. And
why?
Because, and I swear to God, I believe this is true.
Standard deck at 5-0 today. So
okay,
it was the Deeproot Champion was in there.
Deeproot Champion was one of the 4-ofs in that Merfolk deck.
Wow, I didn't think it was. I literally was about to say because it's bad, but like it's not bad.
No, it's great.
That's
real good.
That's fantastic. Well, I mean, it's Queer and Dryad, but they reprinted it and it was terrible. So like now we're like, well, we got it again, but whatever. It's in a better creature type, clearly. But yeah, so I got it up on the screen now. Deeproot Champion is a green and a generic mana for a 1/1 rare Merfolk Shaman from Ixalan, and whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. And it's funny, you can see down there, right at the bottom, if you look at the bottom, you see it say P space convention. And this is the first time, please correct me if I am wrong, that they've actually made a promo and put the word convention on it, where they're like, you know, they gave these, I think, to Pastimes. Pastimes gave them out during different events at PAX South, and that's kind of awesome. But again, it just kind of came out of nowhere. I didn't really recall an announcement of some sort, particularly from Wizards, saying that this existed. So
does that mean the Gen Con's going to get one?
Maybe.
Wow.
Straight
to the Diet Coke. Straight to the... I can't.
We don't partner with those people anymore.
Nah, we don't go back, 25th anniversary roots, none of that stuff. It's fine. Okay, so we got another big topic. We don't got a lot of time, but we got another big topic to talk about, and hoo boy, it's kind of silly. In our Desperate Ravings, we're going to talk about the Magic Arena Economy. Wizards of the Coast announced how the Magic Arena Economy is going to work, and I
still
weird.
Don't get it. So I need Evan
Same.
to help. This is going to be like a question and answer session with Evan because I think he's the only one that even remotely understands what's happening.
Look, I've been trying my best. I've been reading articles. I watched the live stream. Like I'm in here. I'm in this. I'm wanting to make this happen because Wizards cannot screw this up. I'm telling you, you got to stick the landing. And so instead of going by industry standard methods of monetizing your digital card game, they're like, you know what? Let's just do something totally freaking different that no one's ever seen before and that no one really understands. So we have to teach them all again how it works. Instead of just using dust and crafting and whatever and the same stuff that all the other digital card games use and the same stuff that we all expected. Well, let's start at the top. First of all, there's two types of currency. There's gold, which you can earn in-game, and there's gems that you have to pay for. And, of course, if you want to buy packs, you can do it with gold. If you want to buy packs, you can do it with gems, okay?
Okay. All right, that all makes sense so far.
There's nothing that you can't get. Let me put this the right way. The only thing that is gems only is cosmetic, okay? So it's pure free-to-play. You're not going to be denied.
Card backs. Probably
avatars, something like that. Play spaces. I got nothing. But the gems only content will be cosmetic only. There's no content that can't be obtained from playing long enough, which is cool. There's 6 ways for you to get cards. Boosters.
All right.
What they call keeper drafts, which what we in the real world just call drafts. Match
Awesome. Okay.
Thanks. Match wins, weekly win bonuses, wild cards, and the vault. Now those last two are an entirely new, as far as I know, creation of Wizards, that they have decided to cook up a new idea to monetize a game. It's a good thing it's not just a huge multi-million-dollar brand and they're putting all their eggs in this basket, but whatever. Wild cards are basically like, an Uno. When you got the wild card, it is what you want it to be. Well, wild cards can appear in the place of a common, uncommon, or rare/mythic in a pack. Note that booster packs for drafts are going to be 14 cards, like you have now, and booster packs that you open in the client are going to be 8 cards. So you get 8 cards in the booster pack when you open it and or buy it, whatever. But in drafts, you're going to actually have real draft 14 cards per person. So these wild cards can be in place of any of those rarities. Now, when you get a wild card, it's amazing because if you get a wild card that is a rare/mythic, if your rare is a wild card, you turn that into any rare or mythic you want it to. Any of them.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
Just period. I want another Trapjaw Tyrant, it's a Trapjaw Tyrant. Right. I want a Chandra whatever, it's Chandra. Like, there you go. So this is a way for you to swap in, I need a Thrashing Brontodon. Hey, there's a wild card uncommon. It's a Thrashing Brontodon. It is what you want it to be. That, in and of itself, is cool. And their whole point was you're not destroying your collections. And I certainly experienced this myself with Hearthstone, which was I had to cut off like an arm and shred a ton of my collection in order to build a deck I wanted to play. And once I got there, and I didn't really like the deck after a week or so, it's too late. I've chopped off so much, I'm going to have to pour in a bunch more money to make this happen.
Yeah.
So that's the wild cards, okay? Wild cards are what you want them to be. Secondly is this vault thing. Well, the vault basically says in the client, when you get whenever you get your 5th copy of a card, it is literally worthless. It is totally worthless. Because there is no grinding into dust, because there is no trading, your 5th copies of any card are completely meaningless.
Right.
So instead, the vault will increase in size. So basically there's this vault that kind of like grows and grows and grows and like pops open with goodies. Okay.
Oh, okay.
The vault will
That's cool.
The vault will increase when you open a 5th copy of something or you open a booster. It will reward you with wild cards, items, and tokens. I have no idea what the items part is, but tokens, okay, that's a thing. The packs will have the same distribution as Magic packs in terms of drafting. And here's a funny one. Here's a funny one. I want you to watch this one, okay, guys? They note that a lot of the questions were, what happens when standard rotates? When you have full standard in MTG Arena, and then a set's going to leave us because it's rotating, what you gonna do? Well, they said no new modern format when standard rotates, to which I call BS. You are so full of it, it's hurting me. But sure, whatever. You want to live in that fantasy land, you go nuts.
Not right now. It doesn't exist
right now. It will, I promise. Because all you have to say is standard and Arena Modern or Modern Arena or something. Just give it a moniker and no one cares. The point is you want to be able to play with all the cards. And that's essentially basically it, where they're trying to teach you that these wild cards are important, that you don't always get a wild card when you open a pack, but every time you open a pack and you don't get one, your chance to open one increases over time. Right. So they keep track of that stuff.
That's cool.
So that's essentially it.
Does it increase? Now, you said that there was drafting, or
yes,
keeper drafting.
Keeper drafting.
As opposed to phantom drafting, which does exist online.
Right, that's just like, Mexican food in Mexico is just called food. It's like keeper drafts in there. It's called drafts.
All right.
All right, got it.
I had a question, but that was just too funny. So the vault sounds a lot like dust, which is super cool, and I like that. It's like automatic dusting.
Yeah.
For the wild cards, when you open them, when you don't open them, you become more likely to open them as time goes on.
Yes.
And they can be transformed into any of whatever corresponding rarity it is.
Correct.
Are those opened in the keeper drafts?
No.
Okay. So you need to. So keeper drafts are packs that don't have wild cards in them at all.
Correct.
But you can buy packs that might have wild cards in them.
Correct.
Okay, that makes sense.
And here's one of the cool parts that I thought was legitimately sweet, which was you can hoard these wild cards. You can say, I've got like 12 common wild cards, and I got 10 rare / mythic wild cards, and I got 10 uncommon wild cards. So when the new set shows up, you can instantly get the 10 rares / mythics you want. Instantly get all the uncommons you want. That's pretty neat. Okay, so here's your problem. Here's where it gets a little dicey. If you want to build a certain deck, you have to essentially keep either pouring in money or pouring in time, with the hope that you're going to get the right wild card at the right rarity for the right card that you're looking for. That's essentially the grind. And so instead of being able to sort of cut off your arm to grow a different arm, as it were, to cut off all these cards to make this one card that you want, you kind of have to keep working towards / hoping for the wild card of the rarity that you want. So I just want to talk a little bit, just for a half second here, about the idea of scarcity. There is no scarcity with a digital online CCG. You literally have a 1 in a database or you have a 0 in a database. They didn't make only so many ones. They didn't, print only so many whatevers. It's just digital, so it is what you want it to be. Now, obviously, Magic Online has taken the entire polar opposite of that, which is, we're acting as if these are physical objects. They're still 1s and 0s in databases, but whatever. The idea that, again, you're hoping for wild cards. Wild cards are the glue that holds all this together. And I hope it works out, because the dust / crafting system has been proven. Hashtag that Hearthstone money to make the Hearthstone money. Okay?
Sure.
So, on the business side, I really hope they know what they're doing here. Otherwise, this sounds a little dumb.
To be fair, the Hearthstone dust system was brand new technology when Hearthstone introduced it, and it was relatively easy to catch on to. So maybe the gems system and the wildcard system will also be just immediately easy to catch on to. Who knows? Because right now I'm a little lost, but I'm sure the tutorial when I get Arena will explain it to me. But I have faith. I mean, we're being run by somebody who ran Leapfrog, right? Like, he knows online gaming. Like, this is a guy. Chris Cox knows what he's doing. I'm sure he's brought on people that are specifically trying to get Dad Hearthstone money.
Absolutely.
And
I hope so.
And they realized that maybe Dust wasn't the best way to do it. This seems like it seems very easy to just copy and paste Hearthstone. So if they're making this drastic of a change, I can't imagine that they didn't pour a ton of resources into researching exactly the best way to do it. Now, whether that translates to us having a better experience is up for debate. It certainly is going to be a better money-making tool, right? And of course, investing time versus investing money is the difference between being a child and being an adult. So we'll see which one ends up being easier. Because if one ends up being vastly easier than the other, then we might have a oversaturation of casual folks instead of having a competitive scene, or vice versa, having only competitive folks and having no casual scene.
Right. So ultimately, right now, it really just kind of comes back down to the rate. How often are you opening these cards, these wild cards that you need in order to build the thing that you want? And again, they hit this right, we're good to go. They make money, that's awesome. But I think the way to kind of sum it up, and I'll quote here user P01980, which they said, so they've chosen a much more overly complicated model instead of just using a model that has already been proven to work and make money. That's essentially my point, which is you have the blueprint is right in front of you, yet you want to do a different blueprint. I sure hope it works out, because there's a lot riding on this, so please stick the land.
This, however, is a spot where I have faith that they will work it out, because this is their wheelhouse. And if this isn't their wheelhouse, then I don't know what their wheelhouse is. This is why you brought Chris Cox in. This is why you hired all these extra developers. This is why Arena is your focus now. Like, if this isn't exactly your expertise, then you deserve to fail.
So we're going to move on now to a segment that we don't get around to very often.
Yeah.
We're going to move it to the red zone, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to the red zone, where we have a hot button topic, a little hot, a little buttony.
Oh, it's been so long.
Where we just so happen to disagree about certain things. And one of those things, and I haven't watched a lot of sort of reaction videos to this. I haven't seen the official reactions of.
I can take this if you want, or the lead.
And that's fine. But basically, so go ahead, Aaron. Tell us about sort of what's been going on and where we're at.
So YouTube recently made an announcement and let their creators know that they were going to be changing the threshold for monetization through its partner program. And in the past, it was you needed 10,000 lifetime views. They just let their content creators know that that is now changing to 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time within the past 12 months. That means that if you were a creator who had already passed the previous milestone, you got your 10,000 lifetime views, but maybe you didn't have a lot of new subscribers, you now have until February 20th to meet that goal, to get yourself those 1,000 subscribers or those 4,000 hours of watch time. And if you can't, you will be removed from your YouTube partner program relationship. And this has sent a lot of smaller content creators, especially in the Magic community, into a frenzy of, oh God, this is terrible. There has been a renewed effort to really support these people, because as we know as content creators, a lot of times people will watch the show on Wednesdays, they might listen to it in their car, but they're not subscribing, they're not following. And this is really reminding people how important that is, that companies like YouTube are really keeping track of that and giving you more benefits if you can show that you have the subscriber base. And a lot of people have spoken out about this, the professor being one of them, obviously wanting to support creators on YouTube. And we seem to disagree as to whether or not this is panic worthy, as to whether or not this is a bad idea. And I think Ruben and I actually agree on this one, which is rare. We think it's awful.
Well, all right, so first of all, I want to get something straight. The idea that because of what Logan Paul had done, this is the reaction I think is bad. If nothing else, it's just bad optics. It's just really bad to say this thing happened, so now we're going to take, we're going to make all these smaller channels suffer for it. That's bad. That's not okay. I'm not saying that's okay. All right, so I'm just going to frame that right up. Secondly, I'm not trying to say I'm against small creators, because obviously, again, every single YouTube channel, this one included, started with 0 subscribers, started with actual, I hope this works, let's make this work. And I'm of the opinion that this is fine. There's no problem with this. I think that it gives you a goal. It does give you a goalpost. I think it's something that is absolutely doable. Just make good stuff. That's what it's always been about. That's what YouTube has always been about. It took me years before I ever earned $1 off YouTube anyway. And when I did, that was great. But like for those first couple years, I would have hit this threshold and that would have been awesome. But like, it's not necessarily the reason that I started to make videos. I did it because, well, no one else was doing it. And B, I like to share my viewpoint with the world. I like to entertain people. I like to show them a different sort of way of thinking. And if you make good stuff, this is going to happen. You're going to hit this threshold, no problem. And the people who are losing all of this stuff or whatever, it's at best $100 a year. Now, there's been estimates of lower, but I'll just give you the benefit and say you're losing $100 a year. Google doesn't even send you a check until you reach at least $100. So once a year, you got a check. That's awesome. Nothing wrong with that. Yes, you could buy a new microphone. That's sweet. But I don't think you're in it for those sweet, $8 a month action that you got going on there. I think you should be there to make good stuff, to build communities, to interact with people, and to foster, positive interaction. There you go. Go for it.
Aaron, do you have an opinion on whether Evan is right or not?
I think you might.
I think Evan's wrong. I also hate him.
Wow.
That might be a little bit strong. But, okay, so here's why I think you're framing this in the wrong light. I don't disagree with some of what you have to say. I tend to agree that $100 a year isn't a lot, but it is something, right? It is... it is a new light fixture. It's a new camera. It's a new microphone. It is something that when you're trying to grow your brand, when you're trying to grow your channel, that is a meaningful stepping stone. And that's what I think this is about. It isn't about doing this as your job. It's about growth. And it's very difficult to grow your channel with these changes. I think that you need something like 1,000 subscribers and 4,000...
hours watched a month, I think it is.
About 4,000 watch time hours.
Sure.
That's a challenging number to get to, honestly. If you're coming in brand new and you're starting on video 1 or even video 100, and you were previously had that green dollar sign next to your videos, and now you don't anymore, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying that getting from here to here, am I within my own frame? Getting from here to here is going to be more difficult, but the stepping of getting there, the steps are larger. The first step is so much more difficult now, and that is going to ruin people trying to make this work, because you're going to lose so many more people on each step along the way, because they were $100 short for rent that month. So now they have to go back to their job at the grocery store and not make content for those 8 hours. They're going to fall behind as a result. I think that is a major thing that's missing here. This isn't about the money. It's about sending a message.
Jesus Christ.
And the message is that we support people who want to make our content, who want to make YouTube content. Mm-hmm. I think that is, if I get $100, I've never gotten a $100 check from YouTube before, I would be ecstatic to get a $100 check in the mail from YouTube.
Sure.
That seems like an awesome goal.
That is in fact the goal.
Right, that is the goal now. So why is that? Why are we discouraging that? This just seems very similar to the Patreon thing, where they were cutting out their lowest earners at Patreon with that announcement that we talked about like a month ago. This seems very similar to that.
Can I explain?
And I'm interested. Yeah, what's the difference?
Let me tell you one of the things that it's going to fix, okay? And user AC Shaynauer actually pointed this out on YouTube. The changes in the YouTube system is also cutting off the bot kids video channels. Have you heard about this?
Oh, sure.
Oh,
That's terrifying.
That procedurally generated thing, they were abusing this. They were abusing the hell out of this.
Look, I'm cool with that. And if this is if they had announced this is our solution to the like computer generated weird children's videos garbage, where they just like superimpose Disney characters' heads on other Disney characters and that's like their video. Yeah, obviously that's a well worth goal because that's just AI hacking humans' brains to try to get viewer counts. Like I get that, but this is not
one of the things. I'm just saying
Go ahead. Okay, so I want to bring up a couple of points that you had touched on, Evan, and I want to dispel a big one right out of the gate, and this one might be a little controversial. Let's not act like all it takes is making good content, because there are a lot of people out there that are doing good work, they're making good videos, good podcasts, and good articles, and nobody knows who they are. And let's not act like our success was simply because we're good at what we do. There's a lot that goes into there's a little bit of luck, there's a little bit of who you know, and so let's sort of dispel the myth that all you have to do is make good content and you'll get 1,000 subscribers, because that's very much not true. It's very unfortunate, but it's very not true. I think Ruben touched on a really good point. The validation, you know, one of the things that we get asked as being bigger content creators is, I want to start a podcast, I want to start a blog, what advice do you have? And the one thing we always tell people is it's hard work, but you've got to keep going. I can't tell you how many people I've seen get discouraged because there isn't a goalpost in between point A and point B. One of the Twitch affiliate, for example, I see so many people getting so excited about that, even though they're probably not going to make very much money off of it. But it's the principle. It's the fact that Twitch partner is so hard to obtain and so far away. And just having something to sort of break up the journey a little bit feels really, really good. It feels good to know that you're at least doing the right thing, that you're at least on the way, and they know it's not going to do much, but it feels really good. And when the road is so long, anything to sort of keep you motivated and keep you in the game, knowing how fickle content creation is, I'm all for whatever it takes to keep people sort of motivated and to keep them, you know, incentivized to keep going. And I think it's also just sort of, like I said, the principle, the fact that like you had this agreement where all you had to do was get so many views, and these people did that. They thought that was all they needed to do because YouTube told them so. And then to have the goalpost moved and say, okay, you've got 30 days. Who can 30 days isn't a lot of time, you know, and I understand
that's another big piece.
And I understand the goal. You know, I understand that YouTube has attracted a lot of controversy lately because of their algorithms and that they encourage people to sort of do these ridiculous stunts for views and definitely attack that problem. But I feel like the theme of this episode has been good ideas that are just poorly executed, and this is another one of, you can go after the Logan Pauls, you can go after the weird exploity videos, but when you acknowledge in your announcement that 95% of your creators already don't qualify for this, why are you making it even harder for them to go ahead and do that? That seems very poorly thought out.
This does feel a lot like, I mean, I understand that we're throwing out a lot of garbage. Like there's a lot of garbage that we're getting rid of with this. Like the weird like Peppa Pig knockoff garbage videos. Like I'm totally cool with, you know, the random generated software videos that are poisoning kids' minds that are on YouTube. And if you haven't seen that, by the way, boy howdy, spend like an hour going down the YouTube rabbit hole and just be like, wow, this is some Requiem for a Dream garbage. But this is some Clockwork Orange in real life. It's crazy out there.
It's bad. It's real bad.
It's a dangerous place. But I think that this might be throwing out the baby with the bathwater a little bit, right? Because I think that there are people who are quitting their day jobs trying to make YouTube work. Sure. And it's not people who are just going in cold, like they've never made a video before, but there are people who want to make it work and you know, and it's so much easier. Like for all of you guys out there that are asking about, you know, people like us, this has nothing to do with community with YouTube. This is all about advertisers. They are not interested in growing a community on YouTube. It's so much easier for you as a mid-level to low-level content creator to make a community, to make money, and to start chasing the dream of content creation through Patreon and through Twitch than it is through YouTube. Yeah. It's so much easier, especially with this new announcement. Hi, YouTube admins watching this video right now.
No, I mean, for what it's worth, and I'm not saying that you don't have good points there, and for what it's worth, I also agree with perhaps not so much growing the YouTube community versus a Patreon community, which can literally directly sponsor and directly help you, and you can talk to them directly, the people who are helping you, make money at doing what you do. So regardless, and I'm just going to end this. I'll end this on a nice little note, okay? Which go to friend of the channel, MTG Young Mage.
Yes.
Could use some
who's
love.
Actually making the YouTube dream work. That's having his input. I would love to have him on this cast.
Just creators in general. If you are watching this, and it seems like a lot of our fans who enjoy one show tend to enjoy multiple shows. If you are that one fan who hasn't thrown a thumbs up, who hasn't thrown a subscribe, fix that, because seriously, it's not just YouTube. So many of even the content creators.
And log into both chats at the same time. We get our numbers up.
I'm just saying though, the things that you think don't matter, those metrics are starting to matter a lot more, and so it really means a lot if you even give us a thumbs up, if you even give us a like when there's a little blue like button on the article post. That is starting to really make a difference.
So I linked Mr. Young Mage's channel in both of our chats. He happens to be in our YouTube chat right now. Thanks for hanging out, which is great. But then again, and ultimately I recognize that because I was here before anybody else, and I was like, hey, I should make videos. No one's making Magic videos. I get that I had that leg up, and not everyone does. And again, starting from zero is a lot harder now than it used to be.
Yeah.
But we got to give away a box of Rivals of Ixalan. I have a winner. They reside from California. In fact, they reside in Seaside, California.
Ooh, nice.
Congratulations.
I've heard that's by the sea.
It is, in fact. The side of it. Jeremiah D. Mr. Jeremiah D.
Nice.
From Seaside, California.
Is that who I think it is? How do I know all these winners?
I don't know, man. You make it sound weird. I just hit the button to say pick a winner, and it picked a winner. If you know that person's name. But regardless, Jeremiah D., I will hit you up. Congratulations for winning a booster box of Rivals of Ixalan. I will ship it to you on Friday.
If he is who I think he is,
Great.
His ass didn't come to GP Santa Clara, so you need to hold on to that box for a little while longer. We were supposed to hang out.
Wow. Well, look, I'll ship it to Aaron. You guys figure it out amongst yourselves. That'll be terrific. But we're going to turn the corner now to the finisher. This week we have a true marquee matchup in the Magic Bracket. More than 12 million votes have been cast since we first talked about the Magic Bracket on Magic Mics about a year ago. A single elimination popularity contest between every single Magic card printed before 2016. And finally, in batch 38 of round 4096, we really have a top flight fight. The famed Otarian barbarian Kamahl is facing off with his favorite enemy, Pits. That's right. Kamahl Pit Fighter finally gets a pit to fight in Creeping Tar Pit. It's perfectly poetic, and it got me thinking, when we finally get to post-2016 cards, what other thematic matchups would you like to see played out in the gladiatorial arena of the Magic Bracket, Aaron?
Well, I think I'm most looking forward to a heavy hitter matchup pitting multi-format All-Star and Magic Mike's 2017 Card of the Year, Fatal Push, up against the too strong for standard copycat combo critter, Beast from the Aether, Saheeli's Sister from Another Mister, Emergency Band, Faladar Guardian. Partially because of how strong both cards are, but mostly because we all know that if you try to push a cat, it'll land on its feet just fine.
Wow.
A little bit of a flavor fail there, yeah.
Ruben?
Well, Evan, questions of this ilk have plagued flavor judges for years. Remove soul can counter a soulless one, but not a lingering souls. Reach of branches tokens don't have reach. Flash counter doesn't counter flash. Nameless race can in fact be named by meddling mage or cabal therapy. Increasing devotion doesn't. But one new challenger arises in the flavor fail department from this past year and can only be handled by the bracket. Walk the plank versus Sea Legs.
That's right. Age-old question. Legs. Yeah. Team Walked Plank. All right. So, in the next installment of the Magic Bracket, adding an up-to-date roster of cards from Magic's recent expansions, up to and including Rivals of Ixalan, I'm looking forward to see a fair fight, a true battle of who would win on an even playing field between an immortal pre-minted millennia-old planeswalker Androsphinx, founder of one of the multiverse's most powerful political entities, with a true mastery of law and mind magics and control over a legendary artifact of untold and ultimate power, or a mangy goat napping chupa thingy. That's right. Azor versus Ravenous Chupacabra, because I think that's the fight that me and Peace Tully and Kibler and all the rest of us want to see.
Yeah.
Poor Azor.
That's the only battlefield where Azor can beat Hungry Boy.
That dog, man. That dog. I'm telling you, just wait on it. The apology article, it's coming. But that ends another episode of Magic Mike's. Thank you for joining us here live to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you for having me.
Because she's shook. Thank you, Ruben.
Thank you, Evan. This is what I got. This is my best example of I tried.
Woo! All right, we're going to move here to our final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsor, CardHoarder.com, my co-hosts, Aaron Campbell and Ruben Bressler, you guys for watching, and hope you support us at Patreon.com/MagicMikes. Visit our website at MagicMikesPodcast.com that exists. I'm going to say words. That exists thanks to our Patreon supporters. I'm going to slow down a little bit. Or follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe. Do everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online at twitch.tv/MagicMikes, on Twitter at MagicMikesCast, on Reddit at reddit.com/r/MagicMikes, on Facebook at facebook.com/MagicMikes. Talk to us privately at magicmikespodcast@gmail.com. Follow the audio-only podcast at magicmikespodcast.libsyn.com, or find us on iTunes, or join us here next week. Same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mikes. Good night, everybody.